So, Zach, you know I'm all about my challenges this year.
Yep.
And I got something real crazy I'm doing this week.
Oh, boy.
Do you want to hear about it?
What is it?
Phone pickups.
Is
Real
that
professional.
Is that him calling you?
It's really professional.
What's crazy about that? I was waiting for
So-
something better.
I'm trying to limit my phone pickups, and I have a target. And you know how I get with this? I'm extremely obsessive.
Does the phone actually track it?
It does through your screen time. And I would show you, but I don't want to waste a pickup on it.
Don't touch it.
No, I don't. No, it doesn't. It only counts if you like unlock it. But yeah, so my goal is under 1,000 pickups.
Why are we doing this?
I don't know.
Just new year, new you?
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, Trey and I have a bet to see who's under 1,000. So I'm taking it really serious because I was at like 1,600.
What are you averaging right now?
15 or 1,600.
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay.
But
no,
this
like
week-
since you've been doing it.
Oh, it's amazing. Every day is getting better and better. I was under 70. I was under 80 yesterday.
The real question is, for everyone
Today, I'm going to
listening,
probably finish under 60.
are you declining phone calls?
No, I'm not.
That's
So-
not important. I'm not picking this up.
So what I'm doing is now every time I open my phone, I have to do something significant on it. Because it's like, man, if it's going to be a pickup, I need to spend a little time on it. So I kind of let the text messages build.
I feel like all you're going to do is switch to a MacBook. That way you don't have to pick up your phone,
I
but
thought
you can
about
just
it.
message.
I thought about it. I was like, man, if I had a MacBook, I'd still be texting everybody.
I'd have
but
no pickups.
it was kind of cool yesterday because I had more notifications than I did pickups. And that's actually pretty rare.
So we're just doing this as just a...
Just a focus on like being present where I'm at.
Gotcha.
And it's amazing how many times you pick up your phone when, like, every time I get in a car,
Oh,
out
I'm
of
sure.
the car, go to the bathroom, put my shirt on, walk between rooms. Like, it's just all
Yep.
these crazy moments I've caught myself. And
I
it's
was
definitely an addiction.
Just traveling back, and literally, I caught myself playing a game on my phone that I don't even know when I downloaded it and don't know if I've ever played it.
Yep.
Just because it was like, I can't just sit here in silence. I have to be doing something. So
And part of it, okay, it's kind of crazy, but I really am on this journey this year in terms of leadership and management where I'm trying to be a better version of myself and push myself because I think that's what's going to allow me to push managers and, you know, push those people that I'm supposed to lead within the company.
for sure. And I think that's what we're going to get in today too, because I think that's kind of the finite spot of where we're at is looking at this going like, how do I make sure that I stay true to the leadership path that I'm on and also make sure that it sounds terrible and make sure that people underneath me just do their role, their job.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like in 2024, for me personally, I spent a lot of time trying to take things away from people. Oh, you're struggling with that. I'll take that off your plate. Or, hey, that's not something you do well. So how about I restructure your focus? And it's like, wait a minute. If I establish this to be the job and I offered you the position and you said yes, do you really get the runway to come to me and say, hey, that's not really what I want to focus on? So it's really kind of that of like, hey, I'm going to lead. This is what I need from you. You said yes. I'm going to hold you accountable to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like with I've done this whole thing with the schedule, right? Where I have these boxes and like my whole life right now is legitimately checking off boxes. But I found so much power in that.
Oh, it's so valuable.
No, listen. So it's translated just like the scenario you're talking about is I think a lot of times people in their job, they just don't know what boxes to check. Where, hey, if we
fair.
put the boxes in front of them to say, if you check these boxes, if you do these things, you're most likely going to be successful. Now, there's some things probably that you can't teach or that can't fit into a box. But
So I think that kind of rings true in a position that we're kind of working through together in my service department where we have an individual that, for lack of better words, would be kind of in that scenario of saying, hey, I'm doing my role, but I may not be checking the boxes. So, like, how do you reapproach that? I think for a lot of people out there listening, like, I know for facts, you know, leadership and any kind of role you're in is a journey. And we laugh a lot about it of, like, it literally looks somewhat like a heartbeat at times.
oh yeah,
And that 1 month you're on the high, 1 month you're on the low. And it's how do I just start to turn those ups and downs into more of a wavelength where it kind of rides with obviously expectations. But how do you set that as a leader? How do you walk in there and say, like, hey, you're doing a great job and the human being that you are is A+, but the role you're doing is B-?
It's hard. So I think I've seen four categories right now that I'm evaluating managers on. I really took some time, actually with the management staff, to like sit back and say, okay, 4 core principles of what makes a manager.
Yeah.
And it is, as long as I can remember. No, I'm just kidding. Communication,
Pressure's
number
on.
1.
This is
Communication, accountability, processes, and relationships. So those are the 4 mega big boxes that you have to check on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So I think that just in terms of evaluating, like being a manager, that's what you have to do. And so I forget your question. Where was I?
No, it's just how do you take that from someone that's like, even to your point, right? You have those as the 4 key areas.
Yes.
Someone's an A+ human being, meaning, hey, I know they can do all 4 of those.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they're really only good at 1 right now.
Yeah. And again, I think it's, for me right now, it's distilling it down to check boxes. So like communication. All right. If they're bad at communication, are they having daily huddles with their team? When I look at their schedule, do they have time on their schedule for communication with their team? And really, that's kind of all it takes. So again, as with everything, I took it to the extreme. So with this certain position, I think there's an individual that feels like, okay, they have so many things going on. And so they have expectations of their role. They struggle with time management. And people tell me all the time, Austin, I struggle with time management. How do I manage my role? Whether it's a service advisor, a salesperson, whatever else. And right now, after my experiment with my schedule, I would say pull out your daily schedule and take a look at it. So for instance, this one that I did with somebody, they come in at 9 o'clock. Between 9 and 9:15, they're going to prep for their huddle with their team. 9:15 to 9:30, they execute the huddle with their team. From 9:30 to 1, they're kind of managing the department, the customer interactions and all that. 1 to 2, they have a lunch. Yes, I scheduled a lunch break for them.
For an hour.
For an hour. I mean, it's pretty good. And then between 2 and 4, they have dedicated office time where they can work on tasks that help drive the business forward, creative thinking, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk too specifically here.
Well, real quick, what are you doing tomorrow afternoon? Could you do my schedule?
I could if you
And then
want
the
to.
second one, before you go any further, is how do you get someone to buy into it? Like, this is the intriguing part, is now, this is great in theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how do you get somebody to now walk into this and say, hey, I believe it, I'm going to do it? Because you made it, not them.
I think, I kind of used to buy into that consulting and leadership stuff.
Yeah.
This year, the standard is the standard. I know this works because I have results from
Standard's the standard. Here's my boot.
No, here's the thing. I've done this. I know it works. It's changed my life. And so you're going to do this or you're not going to be part of my team. And that's the approach that I'm
Doors
taking.
on the right.
That's the approach I'm taking this year because I know this works. And you know what? If you do it and it doesn't work, whatever you're doing right now doesn't work. So what's your suggestion?
It's a fair point.
Right? But I'm done with trying to get people to buy into stuff. It's like, this is very prescriptive, but I think a lot of times we have to be prescriptive.
Well, and I think to your point, when you're not, this in this scenario that we're throwing out there, the individual, again, is an A+ individual. We want them on the team. And I think the B- feeling that's coming up in it is a lot of like, I feel like I could do more and I'm not hitting my full capacity.
Yeah.
So almost like there's some dead time in the role. So it's like, can this give them structure and redefining what it is to allow them to take some of those bigger exhales and actually enjoy the job versus I'm here all the time, I'm not getting anything accomplished, my pay doesn't align. I mean, those are all the things that in my personal life I go to is I first go to I do more than what the role is asking to be and I'm not getting paid what I'm worth.
Right.
And then now I'm not happy when the reality is I could be just doing everything in the wrong direction.
Yeah. And when you're spinning your wheels, you're not focused, right? And so this gets someone focused. And then I can look back and say, okay, so for this specific metric that we want you to move, I've dedicated 12 and a half hours a week for you to do that.
Gotcha.
What have you done with that time? Because that's specific dedicated time to do that. And I think that, it's kind of extreme and it's kind of a you do this or else. But there's also, look at how much flexibility there is in this. Between 9:30 and 1, it's kind of like, hey, here's a general thing that you're going to be working on. So really in terms of structured time, there's not that much each day. It's just the point is it's structured and focused more than just showing up and trying to survive another day.
And I think in leadership, it gives the consistency of the staff knowing where that individual is going to be.
Yep.
It's not I don't know where he is. I don't know what the schedule is. I don't know what time she's going to be back. It's, okay, hey, they should be in this position. If they're not, it's because something's going on. I think the part that I think a lot of people struggle with, and I'm excited, little preview to next week, is we're going to have mental coach Jordan Delks come in, and obviously he runs a basketball facility as well and has some great college athletes that are on his roster and business individuals. He's going to be talking about how to get people to take the change. Like in leadership like this, you're going to structure this, and he's going to really help us next week in mentally kind of communicating like, hey, I want to get better, and I'm ready to do the jump, but how do I actually take it and run with it? I think for us in leadership, it's a lot of times of just setting it up. And I think that's what you've done here is create a structure that says like, hey, this is the setup. I need you to run with this and let's tweak.
And I think
not reinvent, tweak.
I think the key part of this, or why I can be a little bit more forceful in implementation, is because I am personally doing this. It's not like I'm just saying, oh, you should do this, and I'm not living it out by example. Like for the last 3.5 weeks,
Is
real
that
professional.
Is that him calling you?
That's really professional.
Got him! Got him!
For the last 3.5 weeks, I have been living this. Every hour of my day, I've been trying to check the box from 5 a.m. to 8 or 9 p.m. every night. And so I know this will change your outlook, change your role, change your productivity. So again, that's why I feel more convicted to say, you need to buy into this and not a, hey, let's come to a mutual conclusion about how we're going to do this, blah, blah. So I think there's a difference.
So for somebody who's doing it, again, it's a little different in the sense that you created it and you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Where do you see this dominoing? Let's stay in the service department, right? Just because that's your area of expertise and everything. You're going to domino this out between managers, assistant managers. How far down would you take this if you were operating a department? Would you take this all the way down to service advisors, technicians, BDC, call center, administrators? How far?
I mean, in my role, I can only take it so far. I think I can
put yourself as a service manager.
Oh yeah,
Like
I mean,
now in the store, how far do you take this?
Yeah, I mean, if I could go back and be, a service manager, even a general manager, I would say is like every single person in my store is going to have something like this. They're going to have a schedule each day, and because what's the thing with salespeople? Oh, they don't do follow up.
Yeah.
What salesperson down there, if I walked to them, said, "What is your dedicated time and place to do follow up every single day?"
No, they would say morning, but again, generalized.
So what percentage of their job, and here's how I break it down, what percentage of their job should be dedicated to follow up and doing leads? What would you say?
agree.
What,
I mean,
what
it should be 30, 40%.
So 30% of an 8-hour day is 2.5 hours. So what 2.5 hour block do they have set aside with a separate place? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's like, that was what blew my mind was, okay, so now they know, and everyone else would know, this person is back in the BDC or wherever it is between the hours of this and this. And then guess what? If you're not hitting your numbers, hey, have you been checking the box of your time of being back there and doing follow-up? And then it's like, okay, now that we have the routine of the 2-hour block that of follow-up, and if it's not working, okay, how productive actually is that time?
Yeah. How do we make an adjustment?
Yeah. Because that's like some of the office hours I've had. It's like, now I'm super focused because I know I only have an hour or two to get things done, and I have my list of things to do, and I just knock it out.
Keeps the blinders on, like the horse around the race. Can't see the sideways or behind them.
100%.
So I think the big part that I want to see in this is obviously how you sell it down funnel, because again, that would be hard for somebody, your personality type sees that and goes, oh, I see structure. Even somebody that's more of an I personality, more of like an interactive individual, I could see that being like handcuffing and going, oh, I'm out on this. I don't have the freedom to be who I am. I don't have the abilities to be what I need to do. And I would love to see that play out. I mean, have you crossed that yet? I know you're just kind of rolling this out, but
no, again, my answer to that would be, I am only restricting you for 2.5 hours a day. I'm restricting you. And guess what? I'm restricting you to do your job.
Just sounds so easy.
No, I mean, that's the conversation. Again, I think this year, the standard is the standard.
Yeah, I love that.
I want to lead with it. I want to be an example of it. And I can't let people off the hook with stuff that I have let off the hook, which leads me to my next story.
Uh-oh.
There's a particular office in our auto group that I have visited for the last 2.5 or 3 years. The office is a disaster.
Oh, no.
Every time I walk into this office for the last 2.5 or 3 years, I've thought to myself, Austin, you really need to tell this manager to clean his office.
Oh, boy. This still hasn't gotten
And then I say, you know what, Austin? It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. But you know what I've realized this year?
What's that?
It is a big deal. It's a very big business. And this is the manager's office. And if that manager ever had to bring a customer into that office, I would be extremely embarrassed.
I finally can exhale.
What?
I was waiting for if this was going to turn into something about me that you were confronting, but
No.
we're good. I can exhale when you said a customer.
So what I said this week was, we are having employee reviews on Tuesday. And I said to this manager, guess where we're having them? He said, where? I was like, in your office. And guess what's going to happen to your office?
You clean it up.
It's going to be clean.
Pow.
I got a great email today that said my office is clean and I feel a lot better. So there you go. But to that point, the standard is the standard. I let myself down every single time I walked into that office and saw the condition of it. And it just beat me up for 2.5 years.
Logan, will you cut the podcast here and make sure you insert a photo of my office and Austin's office just for accountability? I feel like it's only fair if we put then my office and then Austin's office.
Let me go clean mine real quick.
No.
This stuff was in my bag. Here's my other computer and my mail from today. Here's my lunch. Oh!
I'm not in it enough.
No, but I agree with that. I think that, I hate saying this because, again, it seems so superficial, but perceptions are realities.
Yeah.
And when somebody walks in and they perceive you as messy, unorganized, and then let's say, to your point, in those four categories, let's say communication's the one, right? Communication's the one that my visual of you is sloppy, unorganized, and, lack of better words, clutter or disaster.
Yeah.
So how's your communication going to be described? Like, there is something about being visual in a leadership position, or even somebody, like, for anyone that's listening to this that says, like, I want a promotion, I want to grow. Like, the first thing in my career that it was is, like, accepting the fact that I needed to act as if. And again, we've told the story before, Mr. Rorman stopping me about not picking up a cigarette butt on the ground. And him saying, like, do you own the dealership? No, sir. Well, my name's still in the building last I checked. So if you ever want to be in a position like me, act as if you own the dealership. And that lesson stuck with me so long of, like, at 24 years old, I started wearing suits every day to work. And that is not the answer today. That is where I needed my mind to get to mentally to feel like I wasn't 24. And I think that was a big push in my career of being like, hey, if I want to be a service advisor that goes to service manager, I need to start acting as if I'm that.
Yeah.
Now, that does not mean, this is probably the worst advice you could have, act as if you're the service manager, so now you're solving the problems and handling the answers and telling customers, verdicts on warranty claims or what's going on with their vehicle. But act as if with attitude, desire, work, the hours you arrive, the hours you leave, what's the customer experience? Does it actually go from hi, my name is to, hey, you're going to be getting a survey? Or is it just, yeah, hey, I left the keys there. I went home for the evening. I'm sorry, they'll be able to get them to you maybe another 15, 20 minutes. We didn't clean your car. Like, what's that full experience? And I think that's the big one, that when the perception starts to match reality, there's a massive shift. And I think there's also a confidence that comes. And I can say, again, to the comment of getting it to be more of a wavelength versus a heartbeat, when I'm confident, the business doesn't tend to have as lows or as high highs.
Right.
And at the end of the year, that's really what you're looking for, is like, what business operates 12 months of the year with consistency and not the yo-yo? Because, again, I've been on the other side of it where I prayed to just have somebody stabilize. Be like, I can live with stability. I can't live with uncertainty. So,
yeah, and the other thing, like, if you're a manager, you're going to have crucial conversations with people. So someone's in your office thinking, like, this guy's office is an absolute disaster, and he's trying to tell me, to turn it around and do my job better or whatever it is. But I don't know. That was a pretty fun one.
Well, we're going to continue to follow this up. I think what would be unique is, as we kind of work through this, we have to see the individual and see how this goes. But how cool would it be to bring said individual that we spoke about today on in 6 weeks and be like, now tell us how it actually worked out.
Could be interesting.
Did this actually benefit you, or was this a disaster? And then I'll have to put you in like a soundproof phone booth so he can answer whatever he wants and not offend.
I'm an open, but you should hear some of the stuff that people have said to me. It's good. I can take it. It's fine.
Well, we're excited to obviously see where this goes. Obviously, I think it's great structure. Again, stay tuned. Next week, we're going to bring in a very cool guest, Jordan Delks. If you haven't seen him, we'll tag a little bit of stuff here. Again, if you're listening on Spotify, just stay tuned because we're fired up for this one and leadership development and everything. Plus, we got kind of a recap coming out of what we've heard from a crazy NADA, as it's been hashtag Snowla, because, again, they got 5 inches of snow. So I was coming back from a Toyota dealer meeting. I would say 50% of the group was going to New Orleans right after. And I would say almost 100% of the group that was going canceled plans.
Crazy.
So some of the initial photos we've seen coming out of there is probably 50% capacity of what we've seen. So
I was jealous of everyone going to NADA until yesterday. I'm glad I didn't go. Cool. And then we'll end on this. By the way, I did sign you up for new service tool. It's $12.99 a month. So, all right, see you guys.